So, I know Miss Dillaway has been teaching you guys lately about making healthy choices, right?
Yes.
So, what are some ways that we can make healthy choices? Avery?
Eating healthy foods.
Yep. Ismail?
Getting more sleep.
Yep. Sophia?
Getting exercise.
Yep, those are all really good answers. So one of the big things that you can do is eat healthy. And you know, it's still really important that we stay healthy while we're in school, right? Not just when we're out of school. So I'm going to read this book called How Did That Get in My Lunchbox? And it's going to be about how all the food that you bring to school, if you bring lunch to school, gets made. How did that get in my lunchbox? One of the best parts of the day is when you lift the lid of your lunchbox to see what's inside. Your parents have packed it with lots of tasty things to eat. They probably got all the food from a grocery store, but food doesn't grow in the stores. So where did it come from before the store? Just how did all of this food get in your lunchbox? How did the bread in your sandwich get in your lunchbox? A farmer planted seeds in spring, and by summer they'd grown into tall, waving wheat with fat, ripe grains at the tip of every stalk. The farmer cut the wheat with a giant combine harvester and sent it to a flour mill. The miller ground the grains into flour, and trucks took the flour to a bakery. The baker mixed the flour with water, sugar, and yeast, kneaded it into a soft, squishy dough, and baked it in a very hot oven. Out came fresh loaves of bread, ready to send to the store. Take a bite of the bread in your sandwich. Mmm, crusty on the outside and soft in the middle. Ellie?
When I went to Spain, I went to this playground thing. It's called Fuentes Blancas, and I went into the forest and I found this field where there was a lot of wheat, and I took off the part where all the white stuff are inside, and then I took a big rock and swished it, and I got all the white part out.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. How did the cheese get in your sandwich in your lunchbox? Your cheese was once milk that came from a cow. A farmer milked the cows, and a tanker from the dairy came to collect the milk. The dairy cheesemakers warmed up the milk and added bacteria to make it turn sour and thick. Then they added a substance that animals use to digest milk called rennet. And it changed again into bits called curds, floating in whey. They drained off the whey, chopped up the rubbery curds, and added some salt and pressed them into blocks. They stored the blocks for months until the cheese was ripe. Bite into your cheese. It's creamy and smooth, but tasty too, and tingly on your tongue. How did your tomatoes get in your lunchbox? Last summer, your tomatoes were growing in a big plastic tunnel full of tomato plants. The sun and warmth made the plants grow tall and bloom. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you. Grow tall and bloom with yellow flowers. As each flower died, a tiny green tomato fruit began to grow from its middle. Day by day, the plants sucked up water and the tomatoes swelled from green to orange to red. When bunches of ripe scarlet tomatoes dangled from the branches, the grower picked them, sorted them, packed them, and sent them to the store. Pop one in your mouth and squish the sweet, sour juice out. How did your apple juice get in your lunchbox? Last spring, the apple trees in the orchard were full of flowers. In summer, tiny apple buds grew from each flower stalk. The buds kept growing, and by autumn, the trees were full of ripe, sweet fruit. Pickers climbed into the trees and filled their bins with fruit. Has anyone here ever gone apple picking? Yeah.
A long time ago. I want to talk about my house.
A truck took the bins to the juicy factory, where sorters threw out any rotten apples. Then a machine washed the rest and mashed them in a milling machine. A huge press squeezed the mashed till its juice ran out. A heater warmed up the juice to kill off any germs, and poured it into cartons. Suck hard on your straw to taste the apple tang. How did your carrots get in your lunchbox? Last spring, your carrots were growing in a field on a vegetable farm. You wouldn't have seen any carrots then, just long rows of feathery leaves. As the leaves grew taller in the summer sun, each carrot root pushed deeper into the earth, soaking up water and turning orange. By late summer, they had swelled so much that the top of each carrot poked out of the earth. Then the carrots were washed and packed into trucks. Bite into your carrot, see just how sweet and crunchy it tastes. How did the chocolate chip in your cookie get into your lunchbox? Cookies are made from flour, sugar, and butter, and this one's got chocolate chips in it. Chocolate starts off as a bean, well, lots of beans, which grow into pods of a cocoa tree. The pods are picked from the tree, then they're cut open and the beans are scooped out. These beans are spread out and left to dry in the sun. The dried beans are taken to a factory, sometimes on the other side of the world. In the factory, they're cleaned, roasted, and ground into a thick, sticky paste. Sugar is mixed in so the taste gets sweeter, but it's still gritty, so it's squeezed, stirred, melted, and cooled. To make it really smooth, it takes a lot of work to make chocolate. Finally, the chocolate is molded into blocks. These are made into little chips that will melt in your mouth all over again. How did the clementine get in your lunchbox? Early in summer, the trees in the clementine grove were full of sweet-smelling, waxy flowers. As the flowers died, a tiny green clementine berry began to grow out of each one. The clementines swelled in the warm sun, turning from green to yellow. By the time cooler winter weather arrived, the clementines had turned orange and were so heavy and full of juice that they made the branches droop. Pickers climbed ladders to reach them. They had to wear gloves so they didn't bruise the tender fruit inside the skin. They washed them and packed them, and the growers sent the boxes in trucks to the market. It's easy to peel a clementine. Then all you have to do is pop the juicy pieces in your mouth and bite. Most clementines are seedless. You've eaten it all, from the first bite of bread to the last piece of fruit. It came from fields and farms, from orchards, from groves, and from dairies. So many people helped bring it to you. Farmers and bakers, cheese and chocolate makers, pickers, packers, and truck drivers. And now it's all in your stomach, starting to do the job that food does, helping you grow taller and stronger and giving you get up and go. So I don't know about you all, but I just learned a lot more about the food I bring to school. So now that we know about eating healthy in school, what are some other ways that we can stay healthy in school? Delilah?
When you lunch and with lots of healthy food. Oh,
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Sophia C.
Stay away from germs.
That's a really good idea. You always want to stay away from germs. Samantha?
I forgot.
Declan, can you help him out?
Don't throw the lunch away before you're throw lunch away once you're done, not
Yep.
before you're done.
Yeah, make sure you eat all of your lunch. So, an important thing that we can do while we're in school is make healthy goals so that we can stay healthy all day while we're at school. I made a little example of one that I wrote. So, I can take care of my body by eating more vegetables at lunch. You think that's a good healthy goal?
Yes.
Well, now it's your turn to all make your own healthy goals.
Yeah.
And remember, it's going to be something you can do in school. So try to come up with something really good. And let's try not to all write about eating healthy at lunch. We have to think of some other ways that we can stay healthy at school, okay? Okay, so everyone go back to your seats quietly, and I'll pass out the healthy goal papers.
Wait.